and welcome back to Coffee with the Wolves. I am Damian Dennis, joined once again by Shaun Sanderson, women's head basketball coach. Shaun, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Yeah,
How about you?
I'm doing great. I'm tired and I'm busy. I like being busy. Now, we're here to kind of discuss and kind of look back on your basketball season. It's over. Unfortunately, your team did not get selected for the NJCAA tournament. We're also going to have Danny Turner on later to talk about his team advancing into the tournament. But last week came to my attention that there's a conspicuous lack of coffee on this show. Now there are behind the scenes reasons why it's called Coffee with the Wolves, but this week I just want to ask you. You've been on like what 4 or 5 times already.
Yes.
What's your go-to coffee preference?
Dunkin' Donuts. Just regular guy, cream and sugar. But at home, usually French vanilla. But I
Oh,
kind of cut
that's
out.
what I got.
Yeah, I only did it for the show, but I kind of cut out a lot of coffee. Just trying to watch my weight, my little figure here.
See, you know what's funny about that is I'm doing the same thing, but also I've learned coffee has a lot of health benefits. So I did the opposite, and I'm drinking way more coffee than I did a year ago, which is probably why I feel so tired all the time now.
Yeah.
Just hopped up on so much caffeine. Uh, but yeah, I tried new coffee this week at the Big B by my house. It was
Okay.
a Irish cream
Okay.
cold brew,
Hmm.
and I'm a sucker for Irish cream stuff. So
Okay.
it was really good.
Sounds good.
Took the kid to Big B to get her out of the house. Did some work for JJC while I was there. Got that and was like, oh, I'm really glad I got this. It was really good. I can't really describe it, but Irish cream as a coffee.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds tasty though.
Yeah, it was good. So let's just start talking a little bit about your season. Lots of ups and downs, and the way you hoped it would. Finished 14 and 16 overall, but it was a fun season. You guys showed a lot of promise. Your team did very well in spurts, and we talked before. You started the new year on a 6 game win streak, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Just kind of talk a little bit about the season, where you ended, and how you're feeling right now.
Yeah, to start the season, we came out with that 3-0 start, which we cracked the top 15, and we were able to start the season without three guards, Ashanti Brown being one of them. So, good start. Then as freshman, you see your name in the top 15. It's like, oh, I've arrived now. So then we went on a little losing streak there for a little bit.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like you said, it was a roller coaster ride in terms of win, loss, win, loss. We just never got over that hump. Now, part of that is because of the tough schedule. Looking at the those that are going to be at the national tournament, as we were talking, like three of the top four seeds were on our schedule.
Yeah.
So we definitely prepared them for what was we thought was to come. And of the 12 teams, four of the teams are actually at the national tournament. And unfortunately, we never really had our entire team, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
whether it was due to injury, sickness, personal lives. But, it is what it is. And unfortunately, we lost grace towards the end of that season, which kind of changed the whole trajectory of our team. So we were trying to kind of redefine ourselves while still trying to get to that big dance. And our last 10 games, we went 3-7.
Yeah.
And of those top teams in Division III, we were 0-4. So when it came to seeding or possibly having an invitation, looking at it from that standpoint, it looked like we didn't have a really good opportunity. So, but we're not going to shy away from having another tough schedule for next year. I think those are some of the things not only prepares us for games, but prepares us for life as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to continue to do that and, hey, do it all over next year.
Right. Can you talk a little bit about losing Grace, kind of in that late stretch? I don't know when it happened. I noticed on my end she just stopped appearing in your
And
kind of
scored,
your stats to me, and I figured,
yeah.
but we just hadn't talked about it.
Hmm.
So I'm curious, like when that happened and how that kind of impacted the team as a whole.
Yeah, it happened against College of DuPage. That was a double overtime game, but her injury occurred right at the end of the first overtime with about 3 or 4 seconds left in the game. She just went down, knee just kind of buckled, and and we were very optimistic that it was possibly just a hyperextension, but it did, unfortunately, that late in the season in her collegiate career at this level.
Yeah.
There's definitely more to come for her. But it did, even in that moment, to be in a situation where we're down, and here it is, our leader, one of the better players, is out with an injury in that game. We had to overcome that adversity just in that game alone, and we were able to pull it out in that second overtime. But then we had to again redefine ourselves, and I told like Ashanti Brown, I was like, "Hey, I'm giving the keys to the Ferrari to you now.
Yeah.
We're behind you now." And she did well. It was definitely different. So now here it is that the team had to readjust. But I believe once we came out in that next game and proved that we could score, without Grace, it gave us a little bit of confidence that, hey, you know what, maybe we can do this. It's just that we have to do it a different way.
Yeah.
But we fought, but in the end, we were lacking that depth at that position because now teams were able to just focus and concentrate on Ashanti and taking away that ball handler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know. I think maybe it was your last game, maybe the game before, but Ashanti played all 40 minutes for you guys,
Yeah.
and wire to wire. I know I couldn't do that even when I was her age.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
that's impressive. Now I know you didn't have Ashanti to start the season. You can kind of talk about kind of filling her in once she was available to you, kind of plugging her in.
Yeah, excuse me. And in the beginning, we had to get some administrative stuff completed because she had transferred, and this was really her first competition coming off her injury from years ago. So, when you have an injury like that, there's a little bit of fear factor, and you got to absorb that first blow or that first contact to know that you're back. So, she was trying to learn our system and learn everything that we do. Well, of course, when Grace goes down, it's like, all right, now you got to know instead
Yeah.
of learning. You have to know now.
Yeah.
But we tried to cater to her skills and talents while she was adjusting, and game by game, she actually got better. You could see it in her assist to turnover ratio going down. She just started to become more comfortable in the offense. It's just in the end, we didn't have enough. But she was great for us in the time that she put in. So like Grace, she will be moving on to play at another institution.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about Kaya too. She's been all over the place this season, a few double doubles here and there.
Hmm.
She's if she doesn't score a lot, she's usually pulling in the boards. If she's not pulling in the boards, she's usually scoring a lot. She's been a pretty key player for this team this year too. Just tell me a little bit about her growth over the season.
Uh, Tremendous. She came out of the floodgates just like unstoppable. And the beauty of college basketball, or even the higher up that you go, um, teams are going to come after you or start to take away your strengths. But I thought for the most part she started to adjust well, especially coming off to that Peoria tournament where she started to then get double doubles. So she had to get through the physical part of it, and I think mentally now she understands that her body has to be in a better position to be able to absorb contact and do those things if she's going to continue to have the success that she has. Um, Ironically, just about a half hour ago, she's contacting me looking for a nutritionist. Saying, "Hey, I got to get ready for next year."
Yeah.
A couple of days after the loss, she was in the gym.
Yeah.
So
She's
we
a competitor.
oh yeah, very much so. We competed one on one. It was a team sport, but one on one in those in that session, um, where she was trying to take me out and I was trying to take her out. So she's a very competitive individual, and when you tell her she can't do something, she's going to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
Try to at least.
Right. So Shaun, I'm looking forward to seeing what you put together for next year. It's unfortunate your season came to an end earlier
Yeah.
than you'd like, but it was fun watching your team? Because I believe I started here at JJC maybe like years after your first game of the season. So I've been kind of with you the entire way. And it's just been fun to watch, fun to be at the games.
Thank you.
I I miss college basketball, so it was fun to be back.
Yeah. But we have a good group that we're after, some commitments, and, we got some key pieces returning. So I'm very excited. And we'll see these young ladies immediately in the summer with some new rules that allows us to practice more. So we'll be able to see what we have real early here.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, Shaun, it's been great having you all season on Coffee with the Wolves.
Yeah.
Can't wait
Thank
to have you back on. At this point, we don't know when, but stay tuned because we got Danny Turner up next.
Thank you.
Next up here on Coffee with the Wolves, I am joined by Danny Turner, our men's basketball coach. Danny, good news for you guys. Wednesday night, found out you're the 11th seed facing 6th seed Rainy River in the NJCAA Division III Tournament. You got to be feeling pretty good right now.
Well, we do. I mean, we're comfortable where we are. But first, thanks for having me. It's a delight always to be on here with you.
Yep.
But getting back to that tournament, yeah. I mean, wherever the chips may fall, wherever they may be. I mean, we tell our team we're 2-0, just like they are. Everyone's 2-0 coming in, all 12 teams. So it's a new season, and they call it the postseason.
Right.
And so everybody's pretty much equal in terms of that.
Right. Now, before we get too much into it, I've had you on a few times over the season. We're going to kind of look back at the season and kind of preview the upcoming game. It's on Tuesday, right?
Wednesday.
Wednesdays.
Wednesday evening. Mm-hmm.
My time is all mixed up. But last week it came to my attention that there's a conspicuous lack of coffee on this show. I keep saying this. This is the third time I've said it now. So I want to ask, what is your go-to coffee choice?
Oh, gosh. Well, black with 3 shots of caramel. That's kind of odd, but, I've always looked at myself as being a little odd, so.
I don't think that's that. That sounds similar, very close to what my wife has.
Okay.
I usually do a black coffee if I'm making it at home, but I had and I've told this to Shaun earlier, so you're hearing it twice for those listening, but an Irish cream cold brew from Big B. It was really good. Yeah, it was good.
Okay.
It was good.
Okay.
But yeah, had to get coffee in here because the show is called Coffee with the Wolves. Unfortunately, by this point, I am done with my coffee, so there will be no drinking of it on the episode.
Understood.
But yeah, so postseason, you're already 2-0, as you said. You're in the tournament. Wednesday's your first game. I guess what are you preparing for facing this team, Rainy River? Just kind of what are you expecting out of them?
Well, I tell you what, I expect them to compete. Like I alluded to a little earlier, 12 teams left, and they are all here for a reason, and that's all based on their productivity and their play. But I mean, they're a high-scoring team. They shoot the 3 very well. They're one of the top, right with us in terms of how many threes they make per game. But they really put the ball in the hoop, man. They're averaging in the 90s, fast pace. But, not to take anything away from them, I mean, the competition is a little different in terms of scheduling. We play some really good teams in the Chicagoland area. We play some Division I's, Division II's, and we've been competitive as well. But we match up well with them. We may have a little more size than they have, but they play at a faster pace than we do, based on the history of their gameplay. But hey, we're both 2-0, so we'll be ready.
How are you planning to slow them down?
Well, I mean, we're going to definitely have some strategy with that, and based on some things that we've done all year, to be general. But we'll just be competitive, man, and we definitely have to guard the dribble, and then of course, really key up on them from a transition standpoint. But as we say, this is the postseason, and we have to guard them, and they have to guard us as well. That's the way it goes.
Now you guys are able to you've got a multitude of players that are able to step up if another one's called. You've got Alex Vasilakis, you've got Michael Allen, you've got Jalen Williams, and there's others on the team. I know I'm forgetting at the moment. Who are you going to be leaning on the most to kind of lead the team in that first game?
Well, I mean, Alex Vasilakis is one of our most consistent players, if not the most consistent player, and he's we're looking for him to be a two-time All-Region player. We're waiting on the vote to come through, but he's almost like a sure in for that, and we're looking for him to get All-American status as well in his second year before he's gone. So we know he's going to perform. He's just one of the most highly competitive kids I've ever been around. And then, of course, you mentioned Michael Allen. I mean, he's been a mainstay for us. He's another sophomore, seasoned vet, and he brings a lot to the table. And of course, we'll have him coming off the bench. He's a spark for us and something that we need from that standpoint. And then Romello Ali is one of the top scorers on the team. And he's been pretty consistent for us as well in scoring. I mean, he has the three-level, scoring ability, layup, mid-range, as well as the three. And then our point guard, Eric Troutman's been really, really steady all year, and he's pretty solid at the point for us.
And I'm glad you mentioned both Eric and Romello there because they were a couple of the names I wanted to mention, and
Okay.
they kind of slipped my mind there when I asked that question. But you've got all this firepower on the team, so probably, hopefully, going to do very well in that regard. Let's look back a little bit, kind of at the season up to this point, or kind of recap the regular season a bit. Lots of up and downs, especially early in the season. Kind of came back, and you've been on a tear really ever since the new year. What kind of changed in the latter half of the season for you guys?
Well, I mean, just sustained from injury. That's a big because it's a long season, and I believe that my main responsibility is to pace my team, and you always have to combat injuries. That's the nature of the beast, if you will, and just a part of it. But just making sure that the kids tie into each other. We like to use the phrase, you guys have to play off each other. Whether it's on the defensive end of the ball or the offensive end, and just sticking together. And finding that chemistry, and as we continue to develop confidence and just play team basketball.
Right. Who would you say might be some of your MVPs of the season?
Oh wow! Again, obviously Alex Vasilakis, his twin Nico has really come around as of late. I'd say probably about midway through the season as of late. He's just been remarkable for us, doing the things that you don't, he's not the glamour, where people always pay attention to the leading scorer.
Yeah.
But I mean, he does everything: assist, rebound, defend, continues to sacrifice in terms of position. Sometimes he's had to play what we call the big, the post position, as opposed to his natural guard position. So he's made a lot of sacrifices, even last year leading into this year. So kudos to him. And then, of course, Jalen Williams has really been a scoring threat for us as of late, and we're looking for him to come off the bench and do that for us. And then Miles Gillespie, he's been somewhat inconsistent throughout the season, but he's another one that can fill up the stat sheet at any given time. I mean, he got that crucial block at the end against Owens, and then they got a second chance opportunity, but it hit the iron and bounced off. But we have great expectations for him in this postseason play.
Yeah, and just I want to ask kind of what your plans are moving. Well, not moving, but heading towards New York for this tournament. And what I mean by plans, I guess, is how are you guys going to enjoy the time off, like the downtime?
Well, I'm an educator by profession, and I'm an educator first, slash coach, or however you want to put it. But we're going to make it as educational as possible. We've got the itinerary being planned as we speak, and we've got the academic advisor and then slash women's head coach coming along with us, Coach Sanderson, and then my assistant Quincy Jones. Um, but we're going to make it educational. We're looking to go, make a museum visit, make a university visit, things of that nature. So we're going to explore, and we're definitely going to make it educational.
Great. One last question here, Coach. So, I don't remember if it was the last time you were on, maybe the time before, but, we highlighted your sophomore players. I want to talk a little bit about playing in the postseason with such a young team because you have a lot of fresh faces here. What do you think that means to them and this program as you look ahead, wherever you end up after this year? Where do you think that kind of lends towards next year?
Well, we always talked about it from the very beginning, and we were telling kids as we were recruiting them, you come here, you may have a chance to play for a national championship. I mean, truthfully, that's what we tell them. And things have come into fruition in terms of having a chance to do that for next week. But I mean, it's just really, really good for freshmen to experience that, And one thing that we've always preached from day one is, developing the attitude. Attitude is a choice. Where you can get, go haywire, or you could be poised. In any given situation that's where you're being challenged. So we were just really sticking on that. But they feed off of me, obviously. As a coach. So I have to keep my composure and along the way. But it's huge for the freshmen, man. It's huge, and we got everybody pretty much coming back, and they've developed and they've learned, and that's really big for a coach, because we think the highest form of teaching is coaching, because main reason is because you're under pressure.
Yeah.
You got the time factor. You're competing against the opponent. So with all that, you're teaching on the run. You're coaching. So the development process has been really, really good for us. We've seen the vast improvements.
Cool. Well, Danny, good luck to you and your team next week in New York. And as always, I'm happy to have you here on Coffee with the Wolves, and we'll have you on again after your season at some point.
All right. Well, again, thank you for having me, man. It's always a delight to spend time with you.
We'll see you next week here on Coffee with the Wolves.